Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift before a word was spoken? Perhaps you've sensed the weight of someone's sorrow or the silent joy radiating from a stranger across the aisle. These are not illusions or the fanciful musings of poets. They are, in fact, encounters with what ancient mystics once called the aura, and what modern science is now beginning to identify as the human energy field. And here is the quiet truth. Your thoughts, those invisible, intimate whispers within, are shaping that field every moment of every day. In recent decades, the bridge between science and spirituality has narrowed. At institutions like HeartMath Institute in California, researchers have discovered that the human heart generates a magnetic field that can be measured several feet away from the body. What's more, this field changes in response to our emotional state. When we feel gratitude, compassion, or calmness, the heart rhythm becomes coherent and sends a harmonious signal to the brain and the rest of the body. This isn't mystical speculation, it's measurable through electrocardiograms and magnetometers. Your emotional frequency is not just something you feel, it's something you emit. Now imagine this: your mind is the artist, and your emotions are the colors. Every thought paints your energy field with patterns of coherence or disarray. Neuroscientists have shown that our thoughts can influence the expression of genes through a process called epigenetics. That means the very act of focusing your mind on positive, life-affirming imagery has the potential to impact not just your mood but your biology. Your body listens to your thoughts. Your cells remember the tone of your internal dialogue. But what does this mean in practice? It means that you are not powerless. You are not merely drifting through life at the mercy of circumstance. Even at 65, 75, or 85, your mind is still a conductor of energy, capable of tuning the frequency of your life experience. And you don't need years of meditation in a cave to access this. You simply need awareness, intention, and a few minutes of practice each day. Let me offer you a simple action to begin. Each morning, before coffee, before news, before the day sets its rhythm, sit quietly. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts, then exhale gently for 6. Do this 5 times. As you breathe, bring to mind a moment, just one, when you felt genuinely grateful. Let that feeling expand. That is not just relaxation. That is heart-brain coherence. That is energy field regulation. And it is profoundly transformative. Philosophers from the East have long spoken of prana, chi, or life force. In the Tamil Siddha tradition, it was believed that thought alone, when infused with breath and intention, could direct the flow of energy within the body and even influence the space around us. Now Western science is catching up. Quantum physicists speak of the observer effect, that the act of observation changes the observed. Your consciousness is not passive. It is participatory. The field responds. And what is the energy field, if not a reflection of how we choose to live? Not only does it connect us to ourselves, but it touches those around us in ways we may never fully grasp. You have likely felt the warmth of someone's presence, or the chill of unspoken tension. These experiences are real. They are energetic exchanges, and they begin with you. So I ask you, not as a scientist or a philosopher, but as a fellow human being, what are you radiating today? What stories are your thoughts weaving into the invisible fabric around you? Because whether you believe in fields or frequencies, your presence matters. It ripples outward, like sunlight through morning mist, touching others in ways beyond words. The time to reclaim the subtle power of your mind is now. Not tomorrow. Not when the world calms down. Now, begin with breath. Begin with attention. Begin with the quiet knowing that you are, and always have been, the center of your own field. There is a quiet revolution happening not in laboratories or temples, but within the mind of anyone willing to pause and listen. This revolution is the recognition that our thoughts are not isolated flickers in the brain but energetic impulses that interact with the world around us. When you hold a thought long enough with feeling, you begin to shape your personal reality. This is not poetic metaphor. This is physics meeting philosophy in the most practical way. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect reveals that particles behave differently when they are being observed, suggesting that consciousness has a role in shaping physical outcomes. Now imagine what that means for your day-to-day life. If the very act of observing influences the material world, what happens when we observe our own lives with conscious awareness, with intention, with clarity? In neuroscience, studies in neuroplasticity show that the brain is not fixed even in later life. New neural pathways can be created through focused attention and repeated practice. Dr. Joe Dispenza, whose work bridges science and spirituality, has documented cases where individuals, through meditative practices and intentional thought, changed not only their mental states but their physical health. The implication is profound. The mind is not just reactive. It is generative. When we combine this knowledge with the ancient Tamil and Vedic philosophies which taught that prana or life force is directed by will and awareness, we begin to see that healing, change, and inner power are not distant possibilities but daily opportunities. Let's make this practical. Every time you ruminate on a painful memory, you are firing the same neural patterns, and your body feels as though it is reliving that moment. The stress hormones flood again. The heart rate changes. The muscles tense. But when you choose a new thought, a memory of joy, or even a vision of future peace and focus on it with breath and presence, you interrupt that old loop. You create a neurological fork in the road. That is the gateway to transformation. And it begins with something as simple as choosing a thought that serves you, breathing it into the heart space, and holding it with emotion. Try this today. Find a quiet space, place a hand over your abdomen, feel your breath deepen, and picture a glowing light moving with each inhale and exhale. Now imagine that light carrying a message, a simple one. I am safe, I am grounded, I am here. This isn't wishful thinking. This is entrainment, the process by which your body, brain, and energy field begin to synchronize with the intention you're broadcasting. In biofeedback studies, people who practiced this type of coherent breathing and thought-focused meditation showed lowered blood pressure, improved immune function, and increased resilience. These are not just inner experiences. These are measurable, repeatable outcomes. In the Upanishads, it is written, "As is the mind, so is the man." In modern terms, as are your repeated thoughts, so becomes your biology, your energy, your presence. You are never too old to change your field because your field is not about age. It is about awareness. It is about becoming the calm center in a stormy world, not by withdrawing from life, but by learning to direct the life force flowing through you. The body may carry its years, but the energy field is renewed each moment by choice. So begin with the moment in front of you. Begin with breath. Begin with one chosen thought, and return to it as often as you can, like a lighthouse returns to its beam. This is how energy shifts. This is how healing begins. And this is how a quiet revolution of consciousness finds its way into the world through you. When we speak of energy fields and mental control, we are not referring to mystical forces floating in the air, but to deeply measurable biological and psychological realities that have been with us since birth. The truth is, your body is not only a vessel of flesh and bone, but an electromagnetic organism constantly interacting with its environment. Every heartbeat, every brainwave, every breath you take sends subtle signals into the field around you. This is not speculative. It is science. The human brain generates electrical activity in the range of 10 to 100 microvolts, and these brainwaves can now be measured using EEG technology. Similarly, the heart produces an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body and is over 60 times more powerful electrically than the brain. These facts are not only astonishing, they are empowering. They reveal that you are both transmitter and receiver, sending out signals and receiving them every moment you're alive. But what does this mean in your lived experience? It means that how you feel matters not just emotionally, but energetically. If you carry unresolved anger, chronic fear, or anxiety, these emotions do not stay locked in the mind. They reverberate through the body's nervous system, altering heart rhythms, changing hormonal patterns, and eventually showing up in your energy field as incoherence or disruption. Researchers at the Institute of Heart Math have found that negative emotional states like frustration or resentment cause the heart's rhythm to become jagged and erratic, a condition called incoherence, which weakens your immune system and diminishes mental clarity. Conversely, when you experience gratitude, love, or inner peace, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and harmonious. This state of coherence sends signals of stability and strength not only through your body but into the field around you. Now, here's where action becomes vital. You have the power to train your body and mind to enter coherence, no matter your age or background. This is not about becoming someone else, but about remembering who you are beneath the noise of worry and distraction. A simple practice can begin the shift. 3 times a day, stop whatever you're doing, close your eyes, and take 5 slow breaths while recalling a moment of appreciation, maybe the laughter of a grandchild, the sunlight on your garden, or a quiet morning with your spouse. This memory, held with sincerity, becomes a signal. It teaches your body safety, teaches your field stability. Over time, this rewires your nervous system and conditions your energy to remain steady, even under stress. Let's also turn to the wisdom of ancient traditions. The Taoists believed in cultivating inner alchemy, using breath and focused attention to harmonize the body's subtle energies. In Tamil Siddha philosophy, the breath is called vasi, not simply air, but the intelligent force that carries consciousness through the body. These traditions recognized that attention is power. And today, we can see it mirrored in neurobiology, which tells us that what we consistently focus on becomes our dominant neural pattern. The mind is plastic, the energy is responsive, and your awareness is the guide. You are not limited by the past. The brain you woke up with this morning is not the brain you will have tomorrow if you begin to think and feel in new patterns. You are shaping your field through every choice you make, what you watch, what you dwell on, who you listen to, and what you believe about yourself. This is not about perfection. It is about practice. It is about noticing when you drift into fear and gently guiding yourself back into peace, like a hand guiding a trembling bird back to rest. So let this be your experiment. Over the next week, begin and end your day with 3 minutes of focused breathing and a chosen emotional state. Gratitude in the morning, peace in the evening. Write down what you notice, not just in your thoughts, but in your body, in your relationships, in the small events of your day. You may find that the world begins to respond to you differently, and it should, because the field is listening. And when you speak to it with clarity, it speaks back. There is a moment, often unnoticed, between thought and reaction. It is small, like the stillness between heartbeats, but within that space lies your greatest power. The power to choose how you respond, how you feel, and ultimately, how you shape your energy field. For many people, especially as we age, it is easy to believe that our patterns are set, that our habits have hardened into stone. But the truth, supported both by neuroscience and ancient wisdom, tells a different story. The human brain retains its plasticity well into the later decades of life. In studies from Harvard and UC Berkeley, elderly participants who engaged in mental training, mindfulness, and simple breathwork demonstrated increased gray matter density and improved memory function. What this suggests is that your capacity to evolve energetically and mentally is not behind you, it is unfolding right now. To control your energy field with the mind, you must first become aware of the signals you are constantly broadcasting. Imagine you are a lighthouse, and your thoughts are beams of light. If those beams are scattered and fearful, they create confusion. But when those beams are aligned, centered on calm, trust, or compassion, they illuminate the path not only for yourself but for those around you. In physics, this alignment is reflected in the principle of resonance. Just as tuning forks vibrate in harmony when placed near one another, your coherent mental and emotional state invites your environment to meet you at that frequency. Studies in social neuroscience show that human beings unconsciously synchronize with the emotional states of others, a process called limbic resonance. In practical terms, when you carry calm, others around you feel calmer. When you carry unresolved inner noise, it echoes outward in ways you may not see but can certainly sense. This brings us to the essential practice of energy hygiene. Just as you wash your hands or brush your teeth, your field needs daily maintenance. This is not complicated. Begin with attention. Set a time each day to do an energetic check-in. How do I feel? What thoughts have been looping in my mind today? Where in my body do I feel tension? Then, introduce intentional interruption. One of the simplest and most effective tools is breath. Inhale deeply to a count of 5, hold for 2, and exhale for 7. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming your body and bringing your field back into coherence. Add to this a phrase you repeat silently, like a mantra or intention: I release what does not serve me, or I return to peace. Over time, this daily reset becomes second nature, like setting a compass toward clarity. Ancient philosophical systems understood that the mind is not merely a place of thoughts, but a bridge between the physical and the subtle. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that the mind is both friend and enemy depending on whether it is mastered or allowed to wander. Similarly, Stoic philosophy teaches that we are disturbed not by events, but by our interpretation of them. Today, cognitive behavioral therapy echoes this idea, helping individuals reframe their perceptions to create healthier emotional and behavioral outcomes. The wisdom of the past and the data of the present converge to say one thing clearly: you have agency. You can guide your thoughts like a sculptor shaping clay. You can train your mind to serve your peace rather than sabotage it. Try this reflection each night before sleep. Ask yourself, what emotion defined my day? What thought kept showing up? Then gently visualize that thought as a cloud drifting across the sky, and replace it with the feeling you wish to carry tomorrow. This act, repeated daily, rewires neural pathways, clears emotional debris, and tunes your field like an instrument ready to play in harmony with life. You are not too old to begin again. In fact, now is the perfect time, because wisdom, patience, and perspective, gifts that deepen with age, give you an extraordinary advantage. What you build now within the quiet chambers of your mind can ripple outwards in ways that heal, uplift, and transform not just your life, but the lives of those you touch. So I invite you to reclaim the stillness between thought and response. Make it sacred. Fill it with presence. Let it become the place where energy is no longer something that controls you, but something you consciously shape. In doing so, you become not only the keeper of your own well-being, but a quiet beacon of coherence in a world that is desperately seeking light. There comes a point in life when we begin to ask deeper questions, not just about what we are doing, but about what we are becoming. For those in their later years, this inquiry becomes more urgent and more sacred. What legacy am I leaving? What energy am I carrying into each room, each conversation, each moment of silence? These questions are not philosophical luxuries, but practical doorways into the final and perhaps most important frontier, the conscious shaping of your own field. Just as a musician tunes their instrument before the final movement of a symphony, you too can tune your thoughts, breath, and presence to resonate with a field of meaning and coherence. This is not abstract theory. It is grounded in science and echoed in the oldest spiritual traditions. Your thoughts produce measurable electromagnetic signals. Your emotions create patterns in your nervous system. Your breath modulates your entire physiological state. In a study conducted at Stanford University, seniors who practiced daily mindfulness and breath-based meditation showed not only improved cognitive function but measurable changes in cortisol levels and inflammatory markers. This is not just about feeling better. It is about becoming biologically aligned with a calmer, clearer, and more intentional version of yourself. The ancients understood something we are only now beginning to rediscover: that true power lies not in force but in frequency. The Tamil Siddhas believed that when breath, thought, and heart are aligned, the body becomes a temple and the mind becomes light. Modern research supports this. Practices like heart coherence training and focused attention meditation create shifts in brainwave patterns from beta, stress and distraction, to alpha and theta, relaxation, creativity, and healing. These are not mystical states. They are accessible patterns that your body already knows how to enter, if given the right signals. And those signals begin with intention. When you wake in the morning and place your feet on the floor, you are not just beginning a day, you are entering a field. The tone you set in the first few minutes creates a cascade of effects throughout your energy, your mood, your interactions. So make it deliberate. Begin with breath. Begin with a question that matters. Ask, what kind of energy do I want to bring into the world today? And then align yourself with the answer through thought and stillness. This is where science meets soul. The placebo effect, long dismissed as a nuisance in medical studies, actually reveals one of the most profound truths about the human system. Belief changes biology. If a sugar pill can trigger measurable healing responses in the body, then what might a deliberate belief in peace, in wholeness, in purpose do for your cellular health? You do not need perfect circumstances to shift your energy. You only need a willingness to turn inward and choose differently. And you can do it in the simplest of ways. Try this. As you go about your day, pause every hour and notice your breath. Are you holding it? Is it shallow? Tight? Then take 3 deep inhales through the nose, slow exhales through the mouth, and whisper to yourself a phrase of your choosing, I am centered or I carry calm. This tiny ritual, done consistently, becomes an energetic anchor. Over time, it teaches your body what safety feels like, teaches your mind what presence feels like, and it teaches your field how to return to coherence in the face of life's noise. We often think of energy as something dramatic, lightning strikes, flashes of inspiration, but the truth is, the most powerful energy is often quiet, steady, and subtle. Like a flame that doesn't flicker in the wind, your inner field, when nurtured by conscious thought and breath, becomes a force of stability in a world driven by reactivity. And this is your gift. At this stage in life, you carry wisdom not because of theory but because of experience. You have walked through storms and still chosen to stand. You have lost and grieved and loved again. Your energy field holds all of that, and now you have the power to refine it, not for survival but for legacy. Let your presence become a sanctuary for those who cross your path. Let your breath become a rhythm that calms not only your own heart but the hearts of those nearby. Let your thoughts be chosen with the same care you would use to plant a tree you'll never sit beneath. You are not here by accident. You are here to tune the invisible, to shape the felt, to become a living example of what it means to carry peace. So begin again, not because you have to, but because you can. And as you do, remember that the most powerful field you will ever influence is not outside of you, but within you, waiting patiently for your attention, your breath, and your gentle command.